What is going on, everyone? Platinum Beast coming at you with yet another video. Today we're going to be doing Pre-33 versus Pre-64, gold and silver. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, so super interesting topic today. Today we're talking Pre-33 gold versus Pre-64 silver. Now, I wanted to bring up this topic because I thought it was interesting and I kind of wanted to gauge you guys' thoughts on it and things of that nature. So one common theme in the stacking community, and this does not every stacker falls into this category, but a lot of people believe that the ratio between gold and silver will somehow achieve its past sort of ratio, so to speak. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you see here, I have before you a 1934 silver peace dollar. Now, I got this dollar for $14 quite a while ago from my LCS, and that is a solid deal for a 1934D. It was sold to me in cull condition, and as you can see there, it's got a little nick in the corner, and it's not perfect by any means. It would be considered cull. However, it's a decent date and a decent mint mark, so I got a decent overall deal for it. Now, this coin is what is known as a gold $1 coin. This was produced by the US Mint, and it was denominated in the $1 category, and it has a date of 1854, so it is a very, very old gold piece. But I brought these two pieces out today to show you all exactly what I'm talking about in this video. So, at one point in time, this was the ratio of gold and silver, right? This is one silver dollar and this is one gold dollar. You could go into a bank, take this silver dollar and say, hey, I want a gold dollar. And they would hand you this, right? Now, these are obviously very wide spreads on the dates, right? 34 and 1854. We're looking at a solid 80-year difference. So there is quite a difference. But the concept still remains, right? Because actually, no, not in 1934, but pre-33, you could take $1 or $5 or $2.50 or what have you in silver currency and exchange it for the same denomination of gold, right? But this was a good example because this is $1 in silver and this is $1 in gold. So this was the ratio. Now, obviously, there's a difference today, right? Because this silver dollar does not equal this gold dollar as far as the denomination, right? And I'm going to explain that a little bit more. So this gold dollar is somewhere around 0.04 troy ounces. I think there's a few extra numbers on the end of that percentage or weight, but generally speaking, we're looking at a very, very, very small piece of gold. However, it's supposed to be more than a gram of gold, right? It's more than a gram, but it's still small nonetheless. Now, this peace dollar is about 75% of an ounce. Obviously, it's like 7734 or what have you is the exact number, but we'll call it 75% of an ounce, right? So if we take a look at spot price today, that is $25 an ounce. So if we do 75% of that, we're looking at around $18 or $19 in actual silver content. Just some rough math in my head, really. But $18 or $19. Now, $18 or $19 won't even get you a gram of gold. A gram of gold is going to run you quite a substantial amount of money, probably close to 70 or 80 bucks with premium attached. And so obviously there's a large disconnect between gold and silver today that didn't always exist in years previous. And a common theme I mentioned at the beginning of this video was a lot of people think that ratio will come back, right? We will see a ratio where one silver dollar equals one gold dollar, and 5 silver dollars equals a $5 gold liberty, and 10 silver dollars equals a $10 gold liberty. We are way off on that ratio today, but a lot of people think it can come back. Now, obviously, there are many different reasons and aspects as to why this difference in ratio occurred, right? There's a lot of things that happened throughout history. The gold in pre-33 no longer being U.S. currency, no longer being made with gold, and actually outright sort of banning gold in a way, or people from holding gold. And silver obviously was demonetized, or not demonetized, but taken out of currency in 1964. So there's about a 31-year gap between the time they took silver out and the time they took gold out. Now, again, there's many different reasons why people believe this occurred, right? A lot of people blame the paper market, right? They say the silver paper market is manipulated and artificially held down to keep the price of silver low. And gold is treated a little bit differently in that aspect, and it's been allowed to grow to a certain extent. But what we're going to do is we are going to go over and take a look at the charts just to see exactly how different the ratio has been pre-33, pre-64, and just kind of all throughout. And we're going to discuss some of the ideas and things of that nature as to why that personally may be. But this is an interesting kind of thing to look at, because these two should be equal, because they both are $1. As you can see there, $1 on the silver dollar, and that has $1 on the gold dollar. So these should be equal, but they are not. Why is that? Well, we're going to dive in and we're going to look at the charts and we're going to discuss it a little bit further. Also, be sure to keep up with my channel, because I will be releasing a video with an article. It's separate from this video because I didn't want to make this video too long, but it will be coming out on Monday. So be sure to check back on my channel on Monday to further investigate the reason for the discrepancy. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go over and look at the charts. So I will see y'all over there. Okay, guys, so I've got the gold chart pulled up here on macrotrends.net. I had to use this chart rather than my usual Provident Metals because Provident doesn't go back quite far enough. Now, if we take a look here, we can see in 1933, the price of gold shot up to about $35 an ounce. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe at the time there was a policy put in place to basically price the price of gold, right? I mean, I believe the government implemented this $35 price point for a reason. I don't remember what that reason was, but nonetheless, we can see here that gold was about the value that was placed on its denomination value, right? At 20 bucks, a $20 gold Liberty is going to have about an ounce of gold in it. So an ounce of gold was about 20 bucks. So that makes sense right there. Here, where it went up to $35 an ounce after pre-33, or after 1933, was the same time whereabouts they took gold out of circulation and started printing just money that really didn't amount to much. Now, I also have the silver chart pulled up here, and we're going to take a look at it. So as you can see here, silver was extremely cheap. In fact, at one point reaching almost 28 cents an ounce. So at 28 cents an ounce, if a silver dollar is about 75% of an ounce, we're looking really at about 20 cents to make that silver dollar. So the silver wasn't even worth what it was printed out to be, right? And that's an interesting point to take note of. As we can see here, after pre-33, silver kind of shot up. And I presume the reason for that was because people technically weren't supposed to be hoarding gold or weren't allowed to have gold or what have you, right? And so people started to move to silver, I presume. Now it went back down a little bit and it kind of floated all the way to 1964. And as we know, in 1964, the government took silver out of actual currency and started using base metals to make their currency. At this point in time, silver was about $1.30 an ounce. So if a silver dollar was 75% of an ounce, it was reaching that level where it was no longer feasible to print or create U.S. currency in the denomination that is 90% silver, because a dollar equaled about 75% of an ounce, and an ounce is $1.30, we're looking very close to break-even points. So they took silver out of money, and it went up, and it went back down, and then it just kind of slowly has gone up over time. And as we know, it was fairly cheap in the 90s, and it's continued to go up in the 2000s and what have you, with some fluctuations here and there. We all know the Hunt brothers stuff went on in the 80s, and we know that there was this spike in 2011. So that is what those two spikes are. However, this is an interesting point to look at. So what we're going to look at here is, let's see what gold was right before 33, right? So it looks like it was about 20 bucks an ounce in 32. If we look at silver in 32, it was about 28 cents an ounce. So it was very, very undervalued, comparatively speaking. But if we take a look at this, we can see 28 cents an ounce in January of 1932. Gold in January of 1932 was 20.78. So it took about 100 ounces of silver to equal an ounce of gold. So that's an interesting point, because I was always under the assumption that silver was worth what it was being printed on. But apparently that's not really the case, because in 1932, they still had silver dollars circulating. I don't believe there are any silver dollars with that date on them. However, if you went into a bank, chances are you could still get a Morgan or a piece at this time if you had a paper dollar and wanted the silver dollar instead. However, the amount of silver you were getting was not equal to a dollar during that time period. So that's an interesting thing to note. It doesn't seem like it was until realistically the 60s, right about when they started taking it out, that silver actually equaled what was being printed on the silver. So I don't know if I'm just not looking at this correctly. And if I'm not, I will admit my incorrectness. But maybe you can leave a comment in the comment section down below if I am missing something. But it seems like the ratio is really not that far off, historically speaking. Because, like I showed you, in 1932, silver was 28 cents an ounce, and gold was 20 bucks an ounce. So gold was pretty much on par with what it was being printed on. Silver, not so much. And the ratio is about 100 to 1. So the fact that we are in, I don't know the exact ratio right now, but I believe it's lower than that. So we're actually in a better ratio now than they were back in the 30s, which is interesting stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at Pre-64 and see where silver was and see where gold was at the same time. So right here in January or April of 64, silver was $1.29 an ounce. Gold in April of 64 was about $35.31 an ounce. So interesting. We've seen the ratio move from 100 to 1 to about 35 to 1. So perhaps we could see that ratio come around once again, and that would be an amazing ratio for silver and gold, because people could trade their silver for a lot more gold than what they currently could trade it for. So it's definitely interesting stuff to look at. What we're also going to look at is inflation adjusted. You can't see it, but up here in the top, I can click this button and it will adjust for inflation. So let's take a look at the inflation numbers, shall we? So in the 30s, 32, gold was about 411 of today's dollars back in the 30s. So obviously gold has appreciated, right? Even with inflation adjustment, you've made money on gold. If you bought it at this time, you would have spent $411 of today's money, not back then's money, but today's money, to buy an ounce of gold. Today, you'll spend almost $2,000 buying an ounce of gold. So obviously, there's been an appreciation of the value of the metal over time. We can also take a look at silver and look at the inflation adjustment. And let's look at that 30s date. So again, $7.14 would have, in today's dollars, would have bought you an ounce of silver back then. So we've seen silver appreciate over time as well. So it's definitely interesting stuff to look at. Let's also take a look at the 64 price range with inflation adjustment. And as we can see here, April 64, 1126. So again, if you hoarded all of your silver back when it was right about what it was worth, you have made money as well. And we know this today as junk silver. If we take a look at gold in 1964 as well, we can see that, let's see here, April 1964 is right there. So $307.62. So again, if you bought gold when they took silver out of circulation, your money has appreciated. Now, which one has appreciated the most? Because that's an interesting question as well. So $307, that's about a $1,700 appreciation. For silver, we are looking at about a $15 appreciation. Now, we have to do this on a percentage basis. We can't just simply do this on a number basis. But silver has more than doubled in value. But gold has way more than doubled in value. $300 an ounce. We've added $1,700. That is $300, $600, $900, $1,200, $1,500, $1,800. That's 6.5, 7 times its value, whereas silver has 2.5 times its value. So gold has appreciated over the long haul much better. So is gold the better investment? Well, I don't really know. That's up for you to decide. A lot of people like silver. I stack silver. Please don't take that I hate silver. I don't. But if we look at the numbers, we can see that gold has appreciated better. So in my opinion, that kind of tells me that gold might be the better asset. I always suggest diversifying your portfolio. I always suggest buying all of the precious metals. But this is some interesting stuff to look at: pre-33, pre-64 gold, silver ratios, and inflation adjustments. But yeah, guys, that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below, letting me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think gold to silver ratio will come back to its historic levels? Do you think that's kind of strange that in 33, it looks like it was about 100-to-1 ratio? Because I always believed it was closer to than that, because a silver dollar supposedly equaled a gold dollar back in before 33. So 5 silver dollars, I could have gone into a bank and got 5 gold dollars. But apparently, I would have been getting more value for my money had I had the gold back then, because the silver was kind of not worth a whole lot. It was worth more than the paper we print today, but realistically, it was worth a lot less than the gold which you could have exchanged it for. So it's interesting stuff to look at. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to, again, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And with all that being said, guys, until next time, we will see ya.